We're live. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here. Today we are diving back into the world of Throne and Liberty. For those of you who don't know, as a father of 6, video game time is few and far between, but we've been finding some luck in actually playing a little bit on Sundays and on Wednesdays out there. Wednesdays. So thank you guys so much for checking out this as a VOD, or if you're hanging out here on the live stream. I always like to run these live streams more like a podcast, just a hangout session where we could talk about video games and what's going on in this game, or just video games as a broader topic. But we will go in whatever direction you guys end up kind of deciding, and whether that's sounding off in the chat or joining in the voice chat, which is open to everybody. Top link in the description will get you to the Discord, as well as all the other social stuff that I create, and open invite. Hopefully you come and check it out, whether it's today or some point in the future. By the way, if you're watching this as a VOD, meaning the live stream has officially concluded, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being out there and supporting the content here. Sound off in the comments with VOD Squad, and maybe we'll have a secret call out later for you guys as well. It always brings me such joy to see the VOD Squad show up. Stag of Flanian says, hey Brian, who's it going? It's going pretty daggum good. Palm Top Tiger, baby, what's up, dude? How are you doing today? The plan is I'm gonna just play some Throne and Liberty. I'm level 6 right now. You can't technically see all of that because I'm playing an ultra wide on GeForce now, which is a real treat. It's something that I was like, yes, if it's coming to GeForce now, that means I can put some more time into this game. And like I said, like, there's something nice about this game. There's obviously issues, and I don't take any issue with anybody who doesn't like the game for one reason or the other, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's fun. It's here, and it's a cross-platform, which I think the player numbers are looking really strong, especially for a games as a service game. But all that being said, I'm bringing in the beautiful Yamron. How you doing, sir? Or handsome, excuse me. All right.
So I'm not. Although that my brother and sister will, not brother and sister, my mom and sister will admit there are some men who are so handsome that they're beautiful.
Oh, there's some men.
So I don't know.
I haven't met one of these men. I don't know if do they have a list?
Oh, what is?
Let's talk about how attractive men are.
I mean, listen, I mean, there are a couple guys who I think are very attractive men. All
right, name them. Let's go.
Henry Cavill and Nathan Fillion, they're good looking
Henry
guys.
Cavill, oh yeah, he's my. I guess I could say I could see it. I could see it.
Like, I think he's got too much muscle, but like his facial structure and everything, he's a handsome dude.
Tone it down, Henry. Tone it down. Hey, you're playing Space Marines 2, and you're ripped as all get out. Come on.
Yeah. Sending the bar too high, Henry.
Yeah. Jackie Chan. I loved his movies. Has he been in a movie recently?
Not that I'm aware of, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, Stag, I totally agree. I like New World's combat way better, and it's like, you just wonder, like, yeah, they get the tab targeting thing. I get it.
New World's combat looks a lot better.
I'm gonna drop this in. Like, I have so much stuff in screen space, I'm like, I can't even see everything. Let me go into my graphics, and we'll switch from the ultra wide. Will it not let me? Oh, I guess it won't even let me change it from ultra wide on GeForce now. Okay. 5 DLSS quality. Come on, guys, performance. Let's go.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
What's up? Finally moved.
How have you been? I felt like we haven't talked in a while.
No, we haven't. I've been very busy. I started the new job.
Good stuff.
Into the lighthouse. Okay.
Driver's license. And now I'm in London now, and I've finally fully moved as of yesterday to London.
Nice.
Very nice.
I'm just... Oh, and I finally got my internet properly fixed yesterday, so I was getting it dropping to 2.4 gigahertz, so I set up a guest network for 5 gigahertz just now, and hopefully it doesn't fuck around with my GeForce now.
Yeah, that's fair.
There we go.
Yeah, man. But I see you're playing Throne and Liberty. I managed to get a good playthrough of it yesterday, and honestly, I'm impressed.
But the Legend of the Drunken Master, was that his last movie?
Huh. Maybe.
Ornate book. All right, let's open the book.
I mean, he is a master of drunken fist.
Oh, I spin that. Oh, it's a key.
What's that? Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, yeah.
Isn't there something going on with him and
There we
his
go.
daughter?
Got it.
And it's what?
Isn't there a thing going on with him and his daughter or something? Like he's disowned her or something?
I don't know. Last I heard, he was shown for China,
Really?
and they rejected him.
Dude, Stag with a 7 stream streak. I don't know what that means, but I love it. That's cool. Thanks, man, for being around. It's got a little fire symbol next to it, so that's freaking cool. Can anybody over on Twitch tell me if drops are on? Because I don't know. And if they are on, I should probably say drops are on.
So what have you guys been up to?
I've been busy, dude. Like it's been work.
Drops are enabled.
Janice Carter,
So.
someone Adriana had met.
What about you, Yimmer? What have you been up to?
Just some writing. Wow.
You've been playing WoW?
Yeah.
Back in that got a what is it? The Deep Within or the War Within?
The War Within, yeah.
Ooh, cutscene. Pretty cool. I love when they do different styles of cutscenes.
Archean forces captured Martinet.
It's like I'm gonna mute and listen to this.
Sisters. By keeping her hostage, they forced the shaman Adriana, who wielded the power of a star fragment, to call forth the rains. As the ritual began, rain cascaded from the sky, accompanied by crashes of thunder. But the Archean forces had altered the ritual. Their tampering caused a cursed rain to fall on Laslan. Wherever the rain fell, creatures transformed into violent monsters that attacked people and devastated the farmland. Adriana was shocked to witness what she had done. When the Archean forces turned on the sisters, meaning to kill them now that they had served their purpose. The awe-inspiring power of the star fragment that lay dormant within Adriana flooded out, and their enemies were annihilated in an instant.
Cool.
In the aftermath, Adriana was beset by unspeakable disfigurations, swallowed by guilt over her role in causing the cursed rain.
That was cool. That was cool.
The new patch came out.
A new patch for which game? Sorry, I was listening to cutscene. Dark Knight?
Dark Tide.
Dark Tide.
Oh.
Okay.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know anything about Dark Tide.
They fixed the itemization of it, and they increased mob density and enemy variety throughout the game. So basically, there's not a lot of new content, but it's kind of like what Diablo 4 did, where they actually made the game good. Because it's been, how would I put it, compared to Vermintide, it's been pretty oof.
Okay.
I love how fast travel works in this game. It's like no load screens, literally just like, yo, check it out.
It's really smooth.
Yeah.
I'm shocked at that. Like, Throne and Liberty's fluidity and like the responsiveness, even in combat, is actually really shocking to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's just like they put in a lot of work. Taking it, it's just interesting because I see so much conflicting worldviews and people come more or less coming into the like, oh, all right, this isn't as bad as I was worried about, or you know.
Yeah, like it's genuinely impressed me, which for an MMO is hard.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they changed the combat because I'm going to be honest, it kind of reminds me of like the Terra character creator almost.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of Guild Wars in there.
Well, it's like also like heavily driven off of open world, you know, content and stuff like that.
It does feel that way as well.
Well, and it's like, so it's got instance dungeons, open world dungeons. It's like, it feels like it literally is that. And then Tavanas' drops is like, are you saying it's showing that drops are on the Twitch? Because if it is, then I'll just.
I think he just got one. Yeah.
Oh, sweet Action Jackson. Okay. Let me. Can I update
I was saying later drops were enabled.
Do they have weapon masteries in the game?
Maybe.
I'm sure they do.
If they have
Drops
weapon masteries-
enabled. Cool. The stream title should hopefully now reflect that there are drops. Sweet.
The armor isn't as ugly as I thought it would be. Like the art style isn't that bad, which is really nice.
Have you ever heard of the only reason I'm alive? Whenever I get the
Plus, I
chance,
like the fact that they've included sort of like the druid, like shape-shifting forms for like mobility.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do not like that.
You don't like the shape shifting?
No, I'd rather just have mounts.
I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm kind of tired of like the constant grind for mounts. I kind of just like the fact that it's a one and done thing.
That's fine.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm like overly wowed.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where it's just like I've been playing WoW for so long at this point that I'm just like not having a lot of the bloat is kind of refreshing.
Let's see here.
To be
Ask
fair,
about
I just
wolf hunting contest and Lord. Oh, there's looks like there. Maybe I've got a couple things I can be
I just
checking
want
out.
World of
Okay, cool.
Warcraft, to be honest, like I want World of Warcraft with a better like questing experience.
Beautiful, beautiful. Stream is fine.
Also,
Your stream is stuck. Hmm. I've got no errors. And Stag says that the stream is fine. I don't know, man. Maybe do a restart. And Stag, if you wouldn't mind just typing that. I went to Twitch and it's not loading. No drops. No drops for me. All right. Thanks for checking out Twitch. It'll be neat to see if what happens, because like Stag was saying that the stream is loading. So maybe were you meaning like no drops or something like that?
I know that we must look.
I don't know. We'll see.
A wolf hunter, please defeat the Corso. Please remember.
I have to admit, the controller support for Throne and Liberty is really good as well.
Yeah, dude. That's where it's like people. Yeah, I've seen a couple comments, especially like on controller guides, is like they're like an MMO on controller. Oh man, what gives? This is gonna be horrible. It's like, huh? Like, dudes, like that's where it's going. You're gonna have MMOs. Yeah. Because just you need, like it's a great.
Some MMOs that are better on controller. Like
I think New World's better on controller.
I think it's a cultural thing. I generally think it's what you grew up on.
Yeah, Stag. I'll catch the major cutscenes, but I just find it easier to listen to a YouTuber kind of summarize the story, where I'm like, all right, tell me what's going on.
I grew up on both. What the hell? Why can I not? I grew up on both keyboard and mouse and controller.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's whatever you prefer more, really.
Yeah. I grew up with controller mostly because I was a PlayStation junkie up until like the PS4, and then I got money, and then I could go PC. But the minute I hit PC, outside of like using a PC for work, I never used it for entertainment. And by that point, I think it was kind of too late. Like my preferences had been like drilled into me. So at this point, I can do keyboard and mouse. I just never find myself like memorizing stuff as well.
Yeah.
Even when I was.
Yeah.
Even when I was younger and I was doing keyboard and mouse, it would be on like a gaming laptop or like a Razer. When I was in like Singapore and I didn't have, I had to use it for school, so I'd be using the numpad for a lot of stuff.
Right.
I'd be playing it very much like that. So it's just very different ways of playing.
Yeah, no, that's not a good way to play a game.
Just you deal with what you're given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, Stag. Final Fantasy 14's been doing the MMO on the controller since 2014. Actually, probably even when did 1.0 come out? Like, I don't even remember the year now.
2011 or 2012?
Yeah, like 2011. Because they did it better in 2.0 forward, but it still actually supported controller. In fact, I was like, I don't know. People are complaining about keyboard and mouse on 14 1.0 is like, just play it on a controller, guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's built for this.
I mean, FF14 on controller is the premium experience, I think, at least.
Yeah.
After playing on both mouse and keyboard and controller, it's clear that the game is just better on controller.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a social stigma with controller because it obviously is console affiliated, and you know, if you're dealing with if you're on PC at the time, anything that sort of was, how would I put it, had the connotations of console. It was the connotations of the game being dumbed down, of it being constantly, you know, streamlined for basically what you would consider retards. You know, it's like, you know, this, it happened in the CRPG industry a lot, especially around like Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2. And like with the involvement of EA with Dragon Age, for example, they went, "Oh, console players don't want all this CRPG nonsense. They want, you know, action, adventure, and blood and guts and gore and all this stuff." And then it turned out, no, they like the CRPG just as well.
Turns out they want both.
Yeah, like,
who knew?
Who knew?
Nope.
Oh, great! I can just equip it that way. Perfect. Ooh, cool. New gear.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with both, and I went through phases of both. I wound up settling in to mouse and keyboard, but I can go back and forth between them. Doesn't really matter to me.
For me, it was always like PC was always this thing I wanted to do but could never afford to do when I was younger. So I would always try to. So I didn't grow up in like WoW, for example. I grew up in like, how would I put it, Perfect World, Arcade, you know,
Great success.
you know, very old pre-Korean MMOs a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because all I could get my hands on, and they were very easy to run on a PC, on like a really crappy PC.
All right, got a little cloak, baby.
And then the MMO which kind of did it for me was SWTOR, to be honest. And then I managed to get my parents to buy Guild Wars 2 because that was a buy to play. Like I remember, what was it, DC Online, and my father.
DCUO.
Yeah, my father lost his nut because it was a subscription service, and he got charged twice for a video game. You know, it's like this. You have like as a child growing up with this stuff, like memories. And yeah, so it's like, to be fair though, like the MMO which really did it for me was Black Desert Online, and that's when I hit university, and I put like 3,000 hours in it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the Dark Knight ass was worth it.
Yeah. Dark Knight got me into BDO as well. Apparently BDO is not in a good state right now.
Is it though?
I finally watched that reaction that one guy had to my video, and he seemed very like into BDO, and I was like, I've never.
Blue Squadron?
Yeah, Blue Squadron.
He's a BDO streamer.
Oh yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
Like, you don't. Yeah, New World's action combat is nowhere near the same caliber as. New World's action combat is nowhere near the caliber of BDO's action combat. BDO has the best action combat in the entire genre.
I think BDO has the best action combat, like, in...
Thanks for the lurks, Sir.
Well, like, isn't Crimson Desert from the same company?
Crimson Desert, though, isn't an MMO, and so it's by the same company.
RPG,
yeah. Which is going to be interesting because, like, it looks really good.
They were doing another MMO as well at the time, weren't they? It was like a airship thing.
I don't know.
I remember when it came out.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It was at the same time when they were announcing like things like Crimson Desert, and Crimson Desert I remember was meant to be MMO as well originally.
Yeah, it was supposed to be and then turns out it was just not, the vision didn't align. So they changed it into a single player RPG. Which
honestly, the way things are going, like that seems probably like the smart move, right? Like like you can have like this quality, like, you know, you like they could really lean into like, especially like what we're seeing with like just action RPGs. I you know, I think Dragon's Dogma 2's combat was great. Like,
the only one point of contempt I've been hearing players have with Crimson Desert, at least the way it looks,
Yeah.
that it doesn't utilize a character creator.
Yeah.
The godly BDO character creator.
That is a good character creator. Outside of like Dragon's Dog, I haven't seen a better one.
It's I would say it's probably the best.
I want
One of
to
the best.
look
I
at
think
one thing real
it's
quick.
the best when it comes to accessibility because it also gives you like the templates, like the community templates.
It's not. It's. I would say it is not a very not a very beginner friendly one.
It gives you the loadable templates that you can use that other people have made as well.
Right, but most new players don't even know about those.
Really? It's just at the bottom, isn't it?
I mean, you would be surprised how many people get stunned by the character creator.
That's interesting.
Like, it just overwhelms people.
That's really interesting.
All right, let's see here.
Maybe it's just because I like to fidget with character creators. I always saw it. To be fair though, I did make a lot of characters when I started out. Like I was trying to, like I flipped between like what was it, the witch class, until she got like a scythe or awakening scythe, the ranger, because of all these reasons. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Then Dark Knight came out, and then I just switched that. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like BD was awesome. Like, I just wish it's how would I put it? Onboarding experience was better.
Yeah, I wish it was better, but it's not, which is unfortunate.
Maybe that's what I need to do. There we go.
I actually think the new onboarding experience is worse than the original when they just popped you in Velia and just said, off you go.
I don't remember them just popping you into Velia.
Yeah, like you
ever.
literally just got popped on the farm and then you just walked off.
Like, I remember there was a quest line beforehand, a short one, albeit, but like a short quest line.
There was literally the one of like, go see the deer person.
Yeah.
Travel to the next town over. And then you went into like the tavern.
Mm-hmm.
And then there would just be a bunch of people fishing.
Yeah. I think the new player experience is better now than it was in the past. Oh, come on.
Right,
You're not gonna grab on?
I always love the idea of like the desert in it. Like the minute you go in,
There we go. We fixed the super chatter problem. I was like, all right, what's going on? Why is it never updating? And now at least I fixed it. I should have fixed it before went live, but I was like reminded. I'm like, okay.
The issue people have with BDO though is that like it's an R spam, right? There's no reason to like engage with the story.
I love that I just transitioned to an otter. Dude, that's so fun. There's no story to BDO. Isn't it more sandbox though? Because like that's one of the things that
there is a story that exists in the game, but it's not engaging. Like it's just not good.
Okay.
Then again, someone shot on Blue Squadron, shot on A Realm Reborn, and I was like, yeah, from what I've been told, it's not good either. But
oh yeah, it's so funny because it's like I'm like I get it. Like as somebody who's like I like sandbox MMOs, like you know,
BDO is basically a very BDO. The issue people have with it is it's PvP currently in its current iteration, and then the gearing system is just trash.
Yeah.
It's basically a worse version. Like TNL. So according to Blue Squadron, TNL does everything BDO does better except for combat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like
yeah, it's got that. That's where it's like I remember when it was like everybody was curious because it's like a lot of people were like, you know, please be action combat, and it's like it's action kinda like it has like action camera like Guild Wars 2, but still's got that tab targeting. I do wonder if we'll end up seeing more evolution because like what they were able to do in a year, I think a lot of people seem very pleased with.
Crackles are as ferocious as
Crackles.
and have a pungent smell. It's said that a hunter once won the wolf hunting contest by secretly using crackle meat as bait.
You're looking good, Solemn. How you doing today, sir? There we go.
And from what I also understand, not BDO, TNL is very well optimized.
Oh, yeah. There was like a couple of, I think, hiccups or bugs or stuff like that at launch, especially as like everything was flooding into the same spot. But like that stuff, like I don't put a lot of stake into that. It's like always like, hey, you know, if you can wait like a couple of days, generally you'll have a much better experience if that's the kind of stuff that takes you out of enjoyment.
Sorry about that.
The Lord's aid was
Received a new title.
that we could proceed with the contest as intended.
Guild Merchant
We asked to
Roberto.
deliver the new bait to the Lord's brother Chris in Black Owl Plains.
There we go.
He also is the head of the Wolf Hunters Association, so you'll need to talk to
Parrot
him
Mail.
to acquire a keepsake.
What's up? Okay. I guess we're gonna go up there now.
But yeah, WoW, I'm having fun with.
Ooh,
Like I
ate some
said,
sushi. Nice, dude.
There are some issues with the story.
Mm-hmm.
The story itself is fine. Like, it's not like, but that's, you know, I'm not expecting like Shadowbringers quality.
Yeah.
Story's fine. There's a lot of woke elements in it that I'm kind of like. There was one.
They're always
thing
getting them. They're always sneaking those things in.
There was one thing that I almost flipped the shit about because it just took me immediately out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what's it called? Val, you know the Nerubians, right?
Yep.
So in the War Within, you ally with like a sect of them, basically,
Oh,
to like
lovely.
overthrow a queen who is literally, the queen literally says, "I want to make my people great again."
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I'm just like, all right. And you wind up killing her. So I'm just like, all right, that kind of sounds like a Trump analogy, but whatever. I'll deal with it.
It's so funny that also gets he's obviously like taking ownership of it, but like you go back and listen to any president's speech like in the last 20 or 30 years, and they all like say that phrase.
Yeah.
They do it in the UK too. They say the UK's best days are ahead of us, and we've just lost our empire. So it's like, no, they aren't.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's that. But at the same
Oh,
time,
what am I doing? I can fly.
so you're sneaking around this city of Nerubians who hate you, basically, who don't like you.
Yeah.
And you wind up taking a Nerubian assassin. You wind up a Nerubian assassin gets corrupted by Xalatath, and you wind up knocking her out, and like taking her along with you, but you're with Lillian Voss, and she's like kind of talking while you're exfiltrating. And she literally refers to the female Nerubian as a they them. And it just immediately took me out, and I almost flipped the shit. I was like, that's not.
How would she know their pronouns?
Real quick, hi, and also bye, and I'm dropping this sound effect for you, Brian.
Thank
The
you.
clap of my ass
Yes.
cheeks keeps alerting the guards.
Such a good sound effect.
But
I'll
like,
catch y'all later.
See you,
Take it easy,
Mike. Thanks, dude.
have fun. But it just like it just made no sense to me in terms of like the world of
Yeah.
Warcraft, and it's just like it pulled me right out, and I literally like I almost flipped a shit.
Well, the problem is that they don't actually integrate these elements into the world in a meaningful way, where people
Or in
would
a
read
proper
them.
way.
So, for example,
They just ham-fist them in.
yeah, exactly. Like, so for example, a good example is the trans surgery in Dragon Age, right? Like, this is a medieval European society with a Catholic, like, religious structure and an Orthodox split, to the point where there is basically two, like two popes, each have different ideas, that type of stuff on what things are, etc., etc., and you know, you could effectively, they just hand-fisted in saying like people are, you know, people can be trans now. It's like, well, are they doing it via magic? And the answer is no. Okay, so that means they're doing it via surgery. So you're telling me they have trans surgery in a medieval
Wow,
European
alright.
society?
Well,
So-
people also have laid the criticism that like you're in a world of magic. There would literally just be like a potion or a magic spell to turn different.
Sir Netcap over on Twitch is asking, which controller do I use? I use an Xbox Elite Series 2. And so I've got on the back paddle, I got 2 back paddles that I use like for like right bumper. So it's very comfortable. And then I also have the chat pad, which like is something that I think is great as an MMO player to be able to not have to necessarily go to the keys for everything.
Don't you have a controller that's not made anymore?
I have a couple Stadias that we give away when we do 20 questions on the podcast. And when I say giveaway, it's like virtual Stadia
or is
controller.
it your keyboard on your controller that's not made anymore?
It might not be made anymore, but it's such a good device that it's like I think it'd be really great to see them bring that back.
Oh, so yeah, so here's the thing, right? You could do that, but the problem is that magic in the world is heavily regulated to the point that if you're born a mage, you're locked up in a tower.
Right.
And not only that, it's blood magic. And blood magic is effectively the original sin of man in this world.
Okay, gotcha.
And you could effectively say, okay, we're going to Tevinter in the next game. Tevinter is the homeland of blood magic. That's where it began. But it is now outlawed. You could effectively say, okay, in the sea, but everybody kind of does it. Like, in the background. You know, because you've got, like, it's kind of like, ancient Rome almost of the world, like it enslaved everybody, that type of stuff, but it's ruled by mages. And how would I put it, like everybody kind of does it because it gives you like a leg up in the competition of like your noble peers, so you could kind
it's
of
like
have
an open secret that people do it anyway.
Yes, but there's nothing really, how would I put it, public, because the minute it's public, the other version of the church is going to come in with a crusade.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, you can have that, but it's like no one's going to say, I'm trans, look at my trans scars, because you'll be killed immediately.
Well, the issue people were also having is that like women with breast cancer that have had mastectomies are complaining that like this is glorifying our
it's a disfigurement of your body.
Basically. The disfigurement is not the word that I've heard. Basically, people are like, this is celebrating our illness, basically, like our struggle. And I'm just like, that's not like, yeah, that's not cool.
A big problem I've also seen is that people are conflating adding new things in meaningful ways and changing old things at the same approach, and justifying changing old things by integrating it into the world and effectively retconning something, but in an imaginative way. And I'm like, no, you can do that to new things, but you cannot do that to old things. Old things are part of the canon, they have meanings, and you're basically going to butterfly effect everything.
Well, apparently certain things don't have canon, like that freaking cuck of a Tolkien scholar.
Well, a good example.
My go. Why am I not seeing it on the screen? 1 second. I'm on game scenes, gaming scene. Yeah. Member goal. Visible, revisible. Member goal. Where did it go? Why? I usually have my member goal up. I was gonna update it. Let me just update the text. It's 3 of 25. Thank you so much for the Prime sub over on Twitch, Sir Netcamp. Appreciate that, man. If you got those Bezos bucks, be sure to use them wherever. Let me go to the desktop scene.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone call it Bezos bucks.
There's the member goal. That was showing up there.
We've been calling it Bezos bucks for a while.
Have they? Am I like just...
Oh, we have. Not they. We have.
When did you become a they then?
Well, oh.
Always been. Let's go back to the desktop scene. Let me.
But yeah, so.
Copy.
Yeah. And like there's like most people have not, I mean, I don't know. And there's like some weird like stuff in the story where it's like I feel like I'm sitting in on a therapy session.
Yeah.
Really jarring.
Yeah, because they're talking about their feelings all the time. Like
they're talking about their emotions, and I'm just like, I get it. These people are really good friends, but like I don't sit here and like
I actually
gush about my emotions to Brian.
Yeah, I don't think that's how
Like-
friendships work. Like, if you're a friend with someone, you know how the other person's feeling by standing next to them. You can tell how they're feeling because you know them so
One
well.
second. I heard the dog barking. I'll be right back.
Well, the
Like,
issue is that like they're talking about their emotions and they're finishing each other's sentences about how they feel,
That happened in Captain Marvel.
and I'm just like, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, that happened in
It's
Captain
terrible
Marvel.
writing.
What was it, the Marvels? And they're all sat there while the planet's getting destroyed, talking about how they were mean to each other. And it's like the people are literally being genocided here, and you're telling each other how you feel.
And I'm just like, but yeah, so I'm just like, there are some, but like the overall story itself is fine. It's just how it's written, and what's written in the story is not good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a massive fan of
But,
archetypal storytelling. I think the closer you can get a character to being its archetype, and like showing the archetype work through the character, the better the character is. Like, I don't want to see Anduin constantly cry. I want to see him be the king. I want him to exemplify what it means to be a king.
He's just fucking, he's crying throughout, not crying, but he's just complaining throughout. He's crying, oh, I don't have my light, I'm not worthy of a light, for the entire thing, and it's just like I get it, it's a major plot point, but like
that's
it's just
not how you
annoying.
do it though, right? You show it like Aragorn and like Lord of the Rings, where it's like not the book version, but the Peter Jackson version, where he's like, I don't want the throne, I don't want to do this, and eventually he is called upon to take it, and he must rise up to that challenge and take it.
Right.
You do it that way, but he has a lot of like character work to where he's worthy of being the archetype, and he earns the role of king, and he becomes the just king at the end. If Anduin got the throne now, he would be a tyrant. And that's the problem, right? It's all about him. It's not about those around him. It's a very narcissistic way of writing. I feel like is the woke stuff. It's all about me, 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 me. It's not about living for others.
The issue I have is that he finally accepts being king at the end of the story, but I don't think he's worthy of being king.
Yeah, like that's the question, right? Is he worthy of being king?
Like he's too unstable.
Yeah.
He's not capable of being king.
Yeah, he's derived no true meaning from his struggle.
Like, listen, people have struggles, right? But he's handling his struggles very poorly.
Yeah.
At least in my I think at least.
Oh crap!
And it's just like, dude.
I just die.
Looks like it.
Well,
That's
what's
awesome.
he sacrificing? Like, what's he sacrificing to become a better person?
Don't forget to bang my wolf tails. Oh, I didn't know that I need to.
So basically, it ties into Shadowlands, where he basically like doesn't even make it, like he basically admits to liking killing people.
Yeah.
And then like this.
What's up, outsider?
I'll literally just say
Dude,
this,
yeah,
like the American cinematic trope of like a magical black person, like literally occurs in the game.
Oh, what was that movie? What was it? The League of
American Society of Magical Negroes.
Okay,
But,
okay.
like,
Oh, I haven't banked him. Okay, I guess I gotta kill some.
but there's literally one in the story, and it just kind of makes me laugh. And she's like, she's disabled. Like she's missing an arm, and she's technically missing an eye. Like she's blind in one eye.
Okay.
And it's just like, I've made a great mistake that cost me an arm and an eye, and it's just like, okay, you don't tell us what that mistake is, but now you're suddenly awesome and amazing for it because of it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm confused. Like,
you don't need to tell us, like, you got it from a mistake either. Like, Space Marines 2 had Chiron, for example, who was the Black Space Marine, and he's missing an arm. And he never tells you how he lost the arm.
No one knows who the winner will be.
yeah, but like, he doesn't really, from what I've seen in the gameplay though, he doesn't bring it up ever.
No. There literally is a scene though where he turns it with his mechanical arm, then he looks at the arm, Saying that, and you can kind of think of
Okay,
him
cool.
imagining saying that's handy, but
Yeah.
he never brings it up, and
Yeah.
he doesn't need to, and that's the thing. Like, you don't need to bring up, you know, what your missing arm is. That's just a part of who you are. You've dealt with it, you've internalized it, you've moved on, and you become a a different person because of it. When it comes to Anduin's struggle, I don't feel like he's ever done that. I don't think he's become worthy of his pain. And that is something which is, it sounds a bit cringy, but it makes you respect the person a lot more. And I think that's the problem Anduin as a character has, is that no one really respects him. Like, they can sympathize with him,
Well,
they
he's
can
not
empathize
worthy
with
of respect because he's pathetic.
Well, of course. But it's like, I'm gonna be honest, if I was a noble from Stormwind, I don't know why you would want him as your king anymore, especially after Tyrellion's taken the throne. Because Tyrellion is just a better king in every way. He's actually
Tyrellion
his
is
job.
the king. Tyrellion is the king that Anduin should be.
Yeah.
Is not, but is not strong
No.
enough to be.
Anduin should be a version of his dad, but like Anduin, so
Well,
Varian's
it's funny because they're
journey
just like,
was
because he comes to the conclusion that like, I'm not I can't be my father, but he never expected me to be.
well, he
I'm
should
just
be.
like-
It should be a thing where it's like Varian inherited the qualities of Anduin's temperament, and Anduin needs to inherit some of his father's aggression.
Right.
And his backbone, his spirit, his will,
Oh,
and
interesting.
then see, I wasn't raised to be a king, I was raised to be a priest.
Right.
It's time for me to put that aside and become the man my father was. To take up the mantle of what it means to be a king. And then he can sort of transform from priest to paladin, almost. Like,
Well,
and be that king
that's what I
after.
thought the thing is going to, but it's not happening. And I'm just like it feels like it just feels like all of like his shit is wasted.
It's
Like
weird, right?
Anduin's
'Cause
wasted as a character. Like he has so much. He feels like Kylo Ren, right? He has so much potential, and they're doing nothing with it.
I always
Thanks,
thought
Stag. I
Sylvanas-
appreciate you so much.
Making him a big crybaby. And I'm just
Yeah.
like,
I always thought Sylvanas was a bit of a good foil to him, because Sylvanas doesn't really have the emotional depth, or like, she's dead. She's dead. But she values the
Yeah.
things that Anduin should value, such as her people. Like, to such an extent, she will do anything for them. Before they retconned her into oblivion, that, it was always a good scene to say, right, you should be adopting the things that your enemy values. Because you are, she's calling you Little Lion for a reason. She's condescending to you for a reason. You are not worthy of the mantle that you are upholding right now. You are not ready to bear the responsibility, and you're not proving it to anyone. And you saw it in, like, BFA, when, like, the Night Elves come to him and ask for his help, and he's like, oh yeah, I really can't do it, sorry. And it's just like, you're not really managing people well, and you're damaging your alliance.
right.
How do you go about dealing with that? And it's like, oh, we're spread kind of thin. And then it's like, well, you just lost the Worgen and the Night Elves. You're a bit of a moron.
Tolkien
It's-
could have been turned into a perpetual energy machine with the amount of grave spinning he's doing because of Amazon's abominations.
Dude, I
Dude.
swear.
There's only one scene I have seen from Rings of Power which I actually thought had some substance, and that was when Celebrimbor opens the split, he throws the hammer through the smithy, and then the entire city's on fucking fire, and it's all gone to shit, and he's like, and he's basically just sat there like his heart has just been ripped out his chest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the only scene which I've actually liked out of this entire thing. But I think that's more because of the production value than anything else.
I mean, people poo-poo it. I'm just like, it looks good mostly.
Yeah.
Like the production value is there, just like it's written like shit.
Yep.
Don't lose
Like,
hope just yet.
It's you can clearly see it's big budget.
But that's kind of the problem with all the games recently. Like, big budget, big production value, but substance-wise, they're terrible. Like, they're spectacle over substance. And they don't really harken to anything meaningful. It's just like, it's a very narcissistic... Like, probably my favorite book is probably Cloud Atlas. And the reason and I'm not sure if you know what Cloud Atlas is, right?
I've heard of it.
It's basically a book where, and it can be read in multiple different ways, where it's a book about reincarnation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same, and it's a journey of different souls throughout time, and they're all sort of, and it basically is, it can be viewed as like 7 different souls, you know, across the timeline, each connected, doing different things, or it can be viewed as the one soul in each different, you know, time span, and they're changing the course of history, and they're constantly going back, but growing, failing, and, you know, they're slowly getting rid of their, how would I put it, their faults and their weaknesses and things like that. And it just gets to, and then by the end of it, it's an old, you know, there's a man, he's just telling the future generation, you know, different things, and it's like, that's really nice. Because it's a story about, you know, someone's transition through life, in a sense.
Right.
You know, from birth to death, and it's like, that's the way it should be done. Because it doesn't present people as like, you're a coward, yes, but you've overcome that by having courage and facing your fears and overcoming that, and actually doing what was right in the moment. You know, well, and Brian, you probably know this, it's the quote where it's like, bravery is not having no fear, it's, you know, challenging the fear or something when it comes, or something like that.
What I've heard is that a hero is no braver than anyone else, but he's brave for 5 seconds longer.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So...
Such an interesting event. I like this actually quite a bit because it feels so social.
That is the thing, right? When I was in Throne Liberty and I went into the city, I think my G-force now almost have froze with the amount of people in it. I was like, Jesus Christ! It's so weird seeing MMO where there's no sharding.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this.
That's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
It almost made me shit myself. Like, because I was like, there's so many people here. I was really worried I wouldn't even be able to click on the quest. And then it turns out, no, you can just tap it and it'll go to the quest, whereas you can hold it down and it'll go to the nearest person. But no, I think storytelling and how you view stories, it has really taken a dive because people want to it's weird, they want to insert real world things into the story, but they don't want to insert the things that matter.
Yeah. And
this is the problem. It's like, fantasy is how we view reality, and vice versa.
Oh
it's
God,
not the other.
I almost put the shit at my dad the other day because of like his perspective on something. Like, I was basically like, there are things that are in World of Warcraft that don't make sense to me, and he's like, it's fantasy, you could do whatever. I'm just like, no, that's not. Just because it's fantasy does not give you carte blanche to do anything you want. Like, there has to be rules and there has to be consistency.
Yeah, it's not logically.
He's just like, I disagree. I'm just like, you can't have like wands and like fireballs in Star Wars, right? Because there are rules that exist in that world. And he's just like, I understand your point, but I disagree. I was like, well, you can disagree.
This is the problem, right?
I was like, you can disagree all you want, but you're wrong.
It's the difference between a mythology and a fever dream.
Yeah.
You know, mythology is how people used to think the world worked. If I went to Ireland in the 19th century, a lot of people would still think fairies exist. You know, that's the thing, right? It's like, these are mythos. These are how people view the world and think how the metaphysics of the world actually works. Like, it's got rules to it, it's got believability, you know, it's got believability to it, it's got internal mechanics and dynamics. You can't just insert something in there and expect it to work.
Just one second. Stag says, do we have any idea what the New World trials are going to be? Generally, they have basically like catch 1,000 fish, kill 10,000 mobs, things like that. It's going to be a wide range of various different activities that people can take part in. It calculates it all server wide.
How's it viewing that? Okay, so it's a server-wide activity.
The well, they're gonna just kind of have like the weekly activities that people can work on for 3 weeks.
Okay. I would laugh if it sort of said these are like your Herculean trials, and it's the most monotonous shit on the planet.
It's usually the MMO for you, though.
It's like, you know, it's like go kill 1,000 enemies, you know, go like milk 1,000 cows.
Well, the difference is that you're all participating in it, so it's like, oh, maybe I ran 5.
It's a server-wide activity. So it's kind of like the Helldivers Warborn thing.
Yeah, that's what I want to see more with games as a service, like actually entail. My feedback was, what is going on with this? Interesting. All right. My feedback was, like, why isn't this just a thing in the game? You know, like why like isn't it not like every season? Because you have your journey, which is individually based, but they could have like a server wide, and then they could just like, I don't know, rank servers against each other, who gets done the quickest or what. I don't care, like, because it's just bragging rights.
I'm gonna be honest, I think games like GTA 5 and Star Citizen have probably done it right here, where it's like you've got the single player game, right? And the single player game gives you your you know, your story, but then you've got the online world, and that's the sandbox. And you can interact socially with other people there. I think that's the way that's been quite successful. Whereas I think the second aspect of that is more like WoW and FF14, where they used to be MMOs, but now they're single player games with an online element.
Yeah.
Where it's like other people are basically just NPCs. But the thing is, right, if you take you can just replace those people with bots, with agents, and you'd have the same experience. Because nobody talks to each other in.
Well, and because again, like I don't generally talk. It's just in Discord. You know,
because you buy at the start of the dungeon, buy at the end of the dungeon, or
good GG.
Yeah, commend them if there is a commendation system, and then you never see each other again.
Well, I'm gonna watch this cutscene 1 second. Okay, well, Wolf just jumped at me. There we go. All right, I guess now I go this way. I got so much sun yesterday. I think I'm a little sun sick.
What the hell's sunsick?
It's when you get too much sun and you're a ginger, and then your body's like, "What the? What are you doing, bro?"
Oh, I just get like
you know we inspired the vampire mythology.
Yeah, I know, but I don't need to like. The best part of being in Scotland is that you never get sunset.
Could MMOs devolve back into a Guild Wars style with interactive hubs and isolated maps? I think that's not necessarily like the MMO though. Like, oh no, I got disconnected from the server. Okay. The I think that's more like when you think of like Phantasy Star Online, you know, and Phantasy Star Online 2. It's like you kind of have that hub, and then you kind of go on these like individual quests. That's a style of a games as a service game. As far as MMOs though, like I think that to a degree there is kind of a portion of that. We've seen that have heavy with what I've been calling MMO, massively multiplayer optional.
Yeah.
Or like MSO, but it's like, yeah, like you have it. It is a style of content. That's one of the things that I like about Throne Liberty right now, is I'm looking at this game and I'm seeing players doing things in the open world. When the MMO started to really abandon its open world in favor of just get somebody in instant content, get somebody in the content. Then I'm like, I think the genre has suffered for that. And that's where I haven't done the dungeons yet in Throne, but they have open world dungeons and they have instance dungeons, and they have different loot rules, which I think are really quite smart that they have put in place. And so I'm hoping that from just an economy of ideas, a marketplace of ideas, that these interesting ideas are actually able to be successful, and that either other existing MMOs go in and start copying that, or that as we see new generation of MMOs get ready to come out, then they can do the same thing. I mean, like I'm going to be playing Pantheon, I'm going to be playing Ashes of Creation, like I'm going to be playing those games, and it's always fun to when it's like, oh man, they took that idea that I really liked in this one game and evolved it. I think MMOs have been cursed to a degree where, because of the business model and subscriptions, you saw a lot of games come out with like interesting ideas, but nobody supported it because they're like, I'm not going to move from my MMO to this MMO with less content,
right?
You know?
Because I think the best MMO would probably be an open source MMO.
That'd be interesting.
And I'm going to be brutal.
Well, because like, you know, just
I think the damage to MMOs isn't really due to modernization of technology or changes in culture. I think MMOs have been damaged the minute RPGs were damaged and what it meant being an RPG. Because if you think about it, RPGs were always social activities.
Yeah.
And the MMO was meant to be the virtualization of that. You know, you wouldn't be at a tabletop with friends, you'd be on a computer with friends, and you'd be going into, you know, where, you know, FF11 is a great example of this. How much time did you spend just traveling to the dungeon?
Yeah.
You know, the journey to the dungeon was what mattered. It wasn't the dungeon of it in of itself.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out how to find my server, sir. So I was like, all right, I gotta log out. There we go. Back in. Magna. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
As I think the popularity of single-player RPGs has increased, MMOs have become increasingly single-player.
Well, I think that's just from an economy of scale, that it's like the amount of things that people want in their MMO, especially right out the gate, versus what they're willing to pay for and how they're willing to support it. And then it's just like, and then also you have just inflation, right? Like, so that's where it's like, yeah, the subscription-based model, like, okay, WoW and Final Fantasy XIV currently are that. We'll see if any of these new MMOs are able to find success with that barrier, with that paywall. Because if anybody is here, you're like, hey, you know, what should you play? It's like New World, I think, has the most player-focused business model, where it's like you buy the game and then you're done. And if like they release another expansion, that's up to you if you want to opt into it, but you're not being asked for money every single month. And I think that when you start, I think that from a $15 perspective, it's cheaper now than it was when I was in my 20s, right? Because like inflation is like taking that down, and their expenses have only gone up. So the only thing that the MMO has to go and cast a wide net, as big as a wide net as possible, and that's where it's like, yeah, I really wish Throne of Liberty was a buy to play. I wish they'd literally just said, you know what, $40 get you in, you know, like call it a day. That's your base price.
I don't think though it is an economics issue. I think it's the fact that there is a cultural thing here of MMOs have always been a niche genre.
Oh, they are a niche.
You know,
yeah.
They've never been, you know, this is something in the past where I remember, what, 2000, early 2000s, you're lucky you got an MMO with 100,000 players in it.
Yeah.
You know, that was something unique, and that's not really changed in my mind. I mean, there's FF14 there as well, but they're not really MMOs in the traditional sense. So in a sense, you've got people sacrificing what it means to be an MMO to cater to what is a larger audience. Mm-hmm. So the question, are you sacrificing the soul of what it means to be an MMO on the altar of mass appeal? And I think the minute you do that, you lose the MMO fans.
Wolfhard says it looks like BDW, NSS, and the wand. I'm looking forward to playing the magic and the other weapons. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I think, you know, my great sword and bow, like, doing the trick. Melee? But yeah, you're right, dude. Because it's such a bummer, because you get so much friction, you see so much online frustration, and then it always boils down to, it's like, oh, they just need to release my perfect MMO. It's like, oh man, so much has changed in our world, and also just in our lives, dude. Like, I can't imagine if you were gonna sit here and say like, Brian, in order for you to have a good experience, you're gonna have to be grinding, you know, like you've never grinded, you know, like you grinded back when you had all the time and no kids, you know. It was a great value, like playing Final Fantasy 11 back in the day. Like I got a lot of value out of that because I wasn't buying other games, but I also had time.
I've seen actual insults now of, I hope your hobby goes mainstream, because I think people have clocked on to the fact that the minute that your preferred thing is sort of the most recent, you know, trend, is the minute it's dead.
Well, yeah, when it becomes the trend, you're spot on. I think essentially the term I've seen online, which I find it very interesting, is tourist. Like it's like the people who are just, they don't care, they're just here because it's popular. And this is where, when it comes down to it, like you wonder if being a player, that all of a sudden you're like, all right, I lost my train of thought, I'm tired.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I've also seen this thing, right, where it's like people are like, oh, I'm not a tourist, I've read 8 books of this franchise, blah 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 blah, and I'm like,
oh, I remember, yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know, it's like, you may have read it, you may have, you know, read the words, but you haven't understood it. You don't understand the spirit of the thing, you don't value it. And you know, it's like someone who's read the Bible but doesn't really understand the Bible.
Mm-hmm. The thing I was going to say is that I think also monetization, and as a content creator, like I get the irony, because it's like I can see behind the scenes and how it is, but the fact is that we've incentivized and created an industry around these, you know. So if you want to, if you really are so like hungry for that like attention and trying to, you know, profit off that attention, like playing whatever the hype and the trend is, you know, it's your job. You know, it's not even like, oh, I like, you know, whatever. It's like, no, your job is to go and do these things that, and that's why it's always interesting, because like no matter what, whenever I do hit a trend, and I usually, when I hit trends, it's because I was there already. Because I'm like, if the trend is going on, I'm like I wasn't interested, and I can't go and pretend like I'm interested. You know, it's just like I don't know. I don't know how people do it. I think I was like, how do you even process that? But being that saying is like, occasionally I do hit trends, and then y'all see a lot of comments in terms of like, oh man, you're just, you know, like, because a lot of authentic people, you know, in content, and you know, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get, you know, people who have never seen my content, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, look at this, he's just a, you know, grifter or gamer, you know, trying to like profit. And I'm like, all right.
There's also a toxic positivity element to that, and people being on the honeymoon phase with something.
Well, that's the thing. The honeymoon phase, it's a time in which that it's like people don't really want to have those like critical discussions. They want just to have whatever they, you know, what they just want to have their spending habits justified.
What's the saying? There's nothing more zealous than a convert.
That's true.
You know, it's there. You know, it's actually so true. It's like it's odd. Like it's when you see like there's always like a core fan base, and they're always really unhappy because people have come in and they've changed things to the point it no longer resembles what made it interesting in the first place. And they always get alienated. And then people are like, oh yeah, well, you have to change it to continue it. And it's like, yes, but you're not continuing the spirit of the thing. The root isn't there anymore. You know, it might as well be something completely different at that point. And if you're not shepherding that root, if you're not watering it, and you know, it will die, it will rot, and it will become less popular. I think the best example of that, Star Wars. I think another good example of it is DC and Marvel. They are not what drew, you know, they are not espousing the qualities and virtues that drew the people to those franchises in the first place. And then they act, you know, Pikachu-faced when the fans don't turn up. And, you know, they will blame people for that. It's like Assassin's Creed's another great example. I'm going to be honest, if they gave you, like, if you just remastered Ezio's story, I think people would buy it. I don't think people would buy, you know, the next Assassin's Creed though. And I think they've realised that as well. I think and that's why they've delayed it to February.
gonna need to see if they can pull that one around. Like again, I still think that like the only thing that really matters is the game's good, and people are gonna want to play good games.
I think defining what is good, and that's
Well,
the thing, right?
And that's
Because
where if it's like do they, because of all of this, let's say the game is a 7 out of 10, right? Like, or something like that. Do we see people coming in with the hard 10s, you know, like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is so good, like just trying to, you know, as they say, own the chuds.
I'm a very harsh critic of games. For example, I'm not like the average American where if it's not an 8, it's shit. For me, it's like I played the original Doom probably about a week ago.
Yeah.
You know, and not the original, you know, the id Software one.
The id Software one?
Yeah, a reboot when they rebooted the franchise, and it was basically, you know, Doom the Dark Ages, the first one of those.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, for me that's a 5 out of 10. Like, that's not it's got very limited environments. The enemy density is a bit mediocre. Repeated executions, like it's not that impressive for what a game is. And I'm like, I hope the next one in the series, like, it's good for a reboot, but I hope the next one in the series is much better. But it didn't impress me. It's like the same with Horizon. I don't get where the love for this game comes from. It's like a 5 to a 6.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not great. It's like Baldur's Gate 3 to me is an 8. You know, it's an amazing game. It's not a perfect game. Like, there's a lot wrong with that. I've never put a game out of 10. I've never put a game out of 10. Ever. Like, there's no game I've come away from saying I have nothing wrong with that. You know? Because there's all, like, for a good example, Baldur's Gate, first thing I hate is the camping mechanic. I hate the food. I don't know why the food's there. Especially on the hardest difficulty, because you need twice as many resources to do just what you're about to do. And it's like, I don't want to be spending so much time to where I'm just scrounging around the map for sausage. You know, it's taking me away from the actual game. So there's stuff like that, and it's the same issue I had in Divinity. But it gets to points like that where it's like, am I enjoying the game more than I'm hating it? That's the value, because that's the fun factor. Are you having fun, yes or no? And yeah, it's like when it comes to MMOs, for example, if I put it back to MMOs, the more I see reputation systems, the more I hate things, because they're basically just battle passes at this point, and I hate battle passes. Yeah,
seasons are just battle passes. Like the battle pass is just like the sub model, which is seasons, optional.
Reputations, actual reputations. You know how in the past the reputation used to be, oh, this people likes you more, this area likes you more, and then you may have got like a title. You may have got like people speaking to you nicer. You may have got like a discount from a vendor. No, it's like, no, if you do this in the reputation, you get this new cosmetic boots. You get this, you get that, and it just, I hate it so much. And I blame Transmog for that for a lot, but it's weird, as I've gotten older, because I constantly hear this thing of like, oh, I'm 30 now, I don't have time to play MMOs. But as I've gotten older, I value the traditional MMO experience more, and I come from a generation where all the MMOs are catered to the people who only have half an hour to play. You know, I want that game I can sacrifice my life on, and I just don't have it.
Where will your path lead?
So there's a bit of like a counter for me. You know, like a good example of that is Monster Hunter Worlds. That game is a game that will last you hundreds of hours.
I'm back. And Brian is AFK.
How you doing, man?
Good. I was just having dinner.
Sorry about that, guys. I gotta. I think this is gonna be my stopping point. I got a little girl outside who needs some hugs. So thanks everybody for joining in. Thanks so much for coming in and hanging out with me in Discord. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll do something later today. I've been working all weekend, so I was just like, gosh, I want to play some games. I just want to play for a little bit. But we got an hour. We got an hour. Like that's you know, I was shooting for 2, but That's the nature of it. All right, guys, I'm gonna end stream. Thanks so much. Thanks, Stag. Thank you to Sir Netcamp for the Prime sub. Yeah, guys, you're the best. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next.